blocks, using your hands, keeping your head out. All these things were so from the normal college guy that maybe played through Pop Warner, high school, he didn't do any of that stuff. So I had to realize this as we were coaching, and literally go back to day one, even how to work, the effort level of every single thing you do, all these little things. And it's been a fun process, believe me, and I will give him a lot of credit for. He has made progress all last year. I mean, big progress, much more than a lot of other guys because he had so much more to learn. And now I'm very proud of what he's done, moving over to the right side and continue to see that progress. And he now knows when I explain something to him, he gets it. Like I know what coach is explaining to me. Whereas before, I think it was a little fuzzy.
If we're talking about Dillard right now, how he is right now, obviously he's got the size. Does he have, we've seen Lane's body change into the NFL body. It took a couple of years. Peters, of course, same thing.
Yeah.
Where does he have to go in that regard?
He's already going there. Trust me. He's already developed since he's been here in terms of physicality, in terms of his weight, in terms of, to me, he's already on that track, and he is a lot like Lane. There's a lot of similarities, a lot, in terms of his athleticism. He was a little more linear, but this individual is extremely quick, fast, and he has a lot of the good qualities that you look for. But they all, especially all the younger players that are here, they all have work to do, and that's what we're doing right now.
You mentioned the
using
2-point.
certain things with Andre, people reporting run blocking as a weakness or three-point stance. You use that kind of stuff. Is that?
I never said run
No,
blocking.
I said with him. You use to motivate him.
No, I have some fun. We have fun. Like
exactly.
I say, hey,
I'm saying,
they all think you're unblocking deficient. He's like, I go out.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get after it. Let's show them all. Whatever. So.
But when we talk about offensive schemes, like from college, do you not worry about that kind of stuff because you're going to teach them the technique anyway?
No, I have what I call critical factors, which I'm not going to share with you.
Yeah.
But these are things that I look for that in a prospect. And if they pass that inspection, then I say, he can do this, and he can do that, or he's deficient in this, or he's deficient in that. And then the red flag goes up. But I really believe that this particular player we're talking about has a lot of really good qualities about him.
Matt Pryor, how is his progress in year one so far?
Good. Matt is a unique player because he's he can play. He plays guard and tackle, both sides. There's no issue there. He's got long arms. And he's got his hand strength is as strong as I've ever, been around. His hand strength is so strong. He gets his hands on you, you're kind of done. And so these are all valuable qualities to have, and you could see that when he plays. And I'm happy with his progress, but he's at the point now where let's go. Like it's time now. We insert you in the game. You're winning the game for us at that level of football. So I'm happy with his progress. I can't wait to see him in the preseason, to be honest with you.
Stout, JP battled through a lot of injuries last year. You've managed him over the last few years to try to minimize the risk of injury. Any way to take that to even another level at his age to make sure he's there for start to finish next year?
I'm very aware of that. I know him like the back of my hand, and I think that what we did last year is exactly what we need to do. I don't think we have to go any more than that, to be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Have you ever had an ACL?
No.
It takes a minute to come back from that.
Yeah.
It takes a minute. A lot of people will say a year, not only just physically but mentally. And so I really do believe. I always felt this way, that he's going to be a better, more productive player this year than last year. I really do believe that.
Stout, what does it mean for you, Stout, to have Carson locked up long term?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Carson Wentz and what he's able to do. I really love his professionalism and the way he conducts himself in the meeting room, in meetings, learning, taking pride in learning. Not only does he know, obviously he's the quarterback, you need to know protections and all that, but I'm talking about all the calls up front, all the techniques that we use. he'll ask me, why are you teaching this? Why are you teaching that? He is. It's exciting to have a player like, knowing you're going to have him around for a long time. He's an elite player.
When you talk about the ACL and how long it takes to come back, both mentally and physically from that.
I'm just telling you what players that I've asked
Yeah.
in the past, and what they have said to me is this. So, with that said, I say to myself, "Holy cow! This is because the guy has, I mean, over and over and over. I've never seen anybody heal so fast and with such. Jason Peters has been injured before, and people have always written him off, and he just keeps coming back, stronger and better than ever.
Well, how does the ACL compare to Brandon Brooks's scenario, for example, where he has the torn Achilles instead? Is that sort of
He had two of those, by the way,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are you asking me?
How does ACL differ from Achilles in terms of?
I don't know. I just know. I'm just
I know you're
telling
not a
you.
doctor, but
I'm just saying,
everybody in your experience.
if I bump into somebody who has an ACL, I'm always interested to learn. I want to learn anything. So I say to you, I say, hey, what was it like coming back from that injury? I never had one. Go ask somebody that's had one. But I'm just telling you, their mindset. Hey, is somebody going to fall on my leg? I mean, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I just know that I think he's going to feel much better coming into this preseason than he was last year.
Hey, Stout, we just talked about JP, but also Jason, Kelsey, Lane. How much of a luxury is it to just point to those guys, to the young players, and say, this is how you do it?
Well, I don't just do that. I
understand,
show them, number one, I show them the tape. And then what I like about, first of all, I'm blessed to be here at the Philadelphia Eagles to work for Mr. Laurie and Doug and Howie, because this organization, in my opinion, is the best organization in the league. The way we're always provided with what we need to be successful. I've had a chance to coach the same players since I've been in the National Football League. Kelsey, JP, Lane, Brooks came in a year or two later. I mean, it's been unbelievable. So I can just like blink at one of those guys, and they'll like take the young player off to the side later on after. You'll see them out there after practice a lot of times, and they're just showing them, they're saying, look, here's what Stout was trying to explain to you. It's hard when you have a group of 15 guys sometimes. That's why I like it. This time of year is nice. You get to kind of individualize the teaching a little bit better. The rookie mini camp is, in my opinion, is tremendous because you can break things down and you're not in a rush to move on, and you can really explain and demonstrate if you have to. But once you get going now in preseason, it's hard because you have to move on in the installation part of it. And I don't want a player ever to move on without really truly understanding like what I was trying to explain. That was the big challenge with Jordan Mailata. And maybe that's the flat out blueprint for coaching every first year player. Like he never knew football before, you know.
How is Brandon coming along?
Well, he hasn't been out. He's been in the weight room, and he's been doing all the. I don't ever comment on a player's injury or any of that stuff because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a trainer, but I just love his positive, he's positive, he's confident. I've never been around a player. Some players get banged up or they get injured and they're like, oh, that was unfortunate. Not 1 minute have I ever seen him be that way.
How's
So-
the depth development behind Jason going at center? I mean, I know you have Wisniewski, but how is it going beyond Wisniewski?
Good. I think it's nice to have Wisniewski back here. He's obviously a player that can play multiple positions. He knows very confident. I know he knows exactly what to do from a center standpoint. I think it's great. I think you have a couple of younger players back that are learning right now that are doing a nice job. So.
With Zach, even though he had the record-setting season, he still seems to have that hunger, that fire, that he wants more this season. What's that like as a position coach, knowing that?
It's fun. I mean, he comes in every day to work. I've said this many times. I'm not sorry if it's boring, but he comes in every day to work. He always wants to get better. I mean, he sent me a text at like 9:30 a couple weeks ago. What'd you think of this drill? And it's a drill we've been doing forever. It was like on a Wednesday. And I show it to my wife, and she laughs. She goes, "That's why he is who he is." But that's him. You know, he's always wanting to get better, and so it's fun, you know, and it challenges me to you know, push him and really try to, you know, finding the little errors that we can work on, and you know, he loves that stuff.
With the additions of guys like Deshaun Jackson, it looks like the middle of the field will be much more open for him this season. How will that help his game out?
Yeah, I mean, Zach does a nice job in between the hashes, and if that's what happens, then obviously we'll figure out a way to exploit that. But you know, like I said, there's so much talent on that field, so I think everyone's going to benefit.
You mentioned Zach's work ethic. He's talked about how with the Women's World Cup and his wife participating, that he's already like mapping out his workouts. And
yeah, he told me about this too. Yeah, but that's, again, he knows. He's obviously going to support Julie, and that's a priority this summer. But he knows that he needs to be ready, and he's to be in the best shape that he can coming back, and just know exactly he's going to figure out a way to get that done.
Are you pleased with the progress that Dallas has made?
Absolutely. You know, he's done a good job. The number one thing would really be he's never had a bad attitude, but he's always had that. His attitude coming into this spring is, I want to get better, and you can just see it. He's got that, like you talk about, that hunger with Zach. He's asking questions in the meeting rooms that he wasn't asking last year. He's trying to, you know, what if we do this? You know, how do I, you know, things like that, where before he would just kind of go out there and do it and then wait for me to correct him. Now he's kind of taking the initiative on some of the stuff.
Doug talked a lot in the offseason about how he wants to incorporate Dallas more into the offense. How much fun is that for you as a coach, trying to figure out how to utilize all this different talent?
It's awesome. I mean, you know, Mike and I talk about it, and obviously talking with Doug and everybody on the staff is, you know, how can we get him a little bit more involved, and that's been fun.
In terms of being able to deploy, I know a lot of people talk about the 12 personnel, but with the way that Dallas and Zach play the game, is it almost that it could be 11 personnel that you can just kind of morph, you know, throughout the course of the game, that teams' defenses won't know what's coming at them?
I mean, we'll see how that all plays out, and a lot of it's game plan specific in what we see on film. But it is exciting, especially when you have guys that are smart enough to go and do a lot of that stuff too.
And how important is that they're both balanced, that they not only can catch the ball extremely well and they're athletic, but they can block, so it's not a detriment when they're on the field in that regard.
Yeah, we're very fortunate in that aspect of it. Both those guys are willing to play at the line of scrimmage, and then they've got the athletic ability to, you know, win the one-on-one matchup. So it's like I said, it's fun.
Zach said last week, you know, he had Super Bowl season, record-setting season, and he said 10 times over, I would rather have the Super Bowl season than the record-setting season. How big is it to have the guy, not just one of your guys, but, you know, your top guy set that example for the rest of the room?
Yeah, and that room it's always been like that, especially when you look, since I've been here with Brent was there, and then, you know, James Casey was the same type of person. Trey Burton, obviously, all those guys, all they want to do is win, and that's the majority of this team. All we want to do is win. So the personal accolades are fun, great, but at the end of the day, they don't mean anything if you haven't won.
What's it like having Carson Wentz locked up for the long term? Zach's talked about the relationship. You know,
it's exciting, you know, and it's I'm happy for Carson, and it's exciting for this organization and the city. I mean, he's obviously a very talented quarterback, and he does a lot in the community, so it's fun.
You've played the game obviously for a long time. You've been around a lot of quarterbacks. What makes Carson special?
You know, his attention to detail, his work ethic. You know, he's in there. They have a quarterback office upstairs, and they're in there before I am. You know, sometimes during the week. You know, they're in there 6:15 watching film during the week. You know, just trying to find something, just make sure they understand that. And there's a lot of guys don't do that in this league.
How do you like, you know, pass catching thing has been kind of an issue for him before. He proved by his third year. Do you see him being utilized on third down?
Yeah, I never knew that. I hear it now, of course, about the pass catching ability, but I never knew that. He came out, he's been catching the ball well. And of course, once again, not to be redundant, but in order to catch the ball well, you got to know exactly what you're doing. He knows about the routes, he knows protections, and he's going out there and he's snagging the ball up.
How do you think Miles Sanders is as a pass catcher? He did it a little bit at Penn State.
I think he's good. I think he's good. I think that you talk to those guys, they'll all tell you that they can continue to get better, which you want those guys to think that way and be humble, especially when it comes to catching the ball, and understand where to be. That's one of my things as far as route running. You got to understand the offense, and you got to understand the progression of the offense, which is very important. And for those two guys to come in and kind of learn that rather quickly, I'm very pleased.
Do you think that Jordan Howard and Miles
Picked one
Sanders have
early,
a bit
right? I mean, in Sanders, I mean, you had to be happy that you guys got to use a draft pick on a guy like Sanders.
Oh yeah,
Make
I'm
you
super happy about that. I'm very happy, and and all you guys, of course, being able to see him at Penn State, some of the things he did there, that was special, and being able to play behind another special guy and learn from him. So I'm happy.
Howard was saying he kind of popped into your office, I think, the Friday before Sanders was picked, and you guys had a conversation about whether he would be available or crossing your fingers. Just kind of what do you remember about that?
Oh yeah, definitely. He popped in and we had a conversation, exactly what he told you, and just we didn't think he was going to be there. I didn't anyway. Didn't think he was going to be available. Was very surprised that he was, and I think it was like a no-brainer.
Well, is he behind at all, having missed some time with the hamstring here at OTAs? Is that significant for him?
I think it's significant for any player that misses time, just for us getting out there, learning their teammates, and being able to understand how they play the game and how they think. But as far as playbook-wise, no. He knows the playbook. We get a chance to have extra meeting time, which I enjoy with him, with the rookie. So he's able to come in, and I'm able to quiz him. I'm able to take him through different games, film, etc. So that part of it, nah, he's cool.
What you mentioned about him having to sit behind Saquon. What did you learn in talking to coaches at Penn State about how he handled that? And would you learn yourself doing your own kind of investigative work on that?
Yeah, I think that the coaches speak highly of him, of course, and the type of gentleman, the young man he is. I didn't expect anything different once I learned about him. Sitting behind Saquon, actually not really sitting behind. I guess he kind of lost his job because I think he was there first, if I'm not mistaken. And, we all go through certain things in life. It's all about how you bounce back. So that kid, of course, being, I guess, highly recruited, coming out of high school, a lot of colleges wanted him. Saquon came in. Saquon, we all know, is a beast. He came in and was able to take the position. Now, with the options today, you got a chance to transfer. You can be mad, you can be disgruntled. No, he didn't. He just went to work, and it showed what type of person he is.
Duce, this organization just made a massive commitment to Carson Wentz. You've been around this organization an awful long time. What do you think of that decision that this organization made to keep Carson here?
I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. I'm super excited about it. It sends a message to his teammates, of course, also to Carson, our community, our great Eagle fans. It sends a message to them. We're committed. We're committed as an organization. We're committed as a team, coaching staff. Of course, Mr. Lurie is committed, and we all know what Carson can do. And he's definitely going to have a good season, in my opinion, and he's been working so hard. Being able to come out to practice is to see the guy over there being out 10 to 15 minutes early sometimes, just working on his craft. I'm super excited about it.
You lived when Donovan was here as a number 2 pick and saw him have to handle expectation and those kind of things. I mean, obviously Carson is living a similar life. How has he handled that?
Oh, great. With no problems. Of course, it's a tough city. This is a tough city. This is a sports city. People here know football, of course, and being able to be in a situation like that, being the leader of your team, being the main guy. Donovan, like you said, went through something similar. Of course, I know Carson kind of went through it too, but those guys Donovan was a true pro, being able to handle it the way he did, and Carson's been a true pro also.
What do you think is going on with Darren Sproles? Have you talked to him lately? Does he want to play again? Would you guys want him if he did want to play again?
Of course I want him. I want him all the time. I don't think he's going to get old, We tell him all the time, I need to borrow some of that Kool-Aid you're drinking. Make sure you patent it so we can sell it later on. I need to start drinking it now. Maybe I can make a comeback or something. Sproles has been awesome. He continues to communicate, and he's watching film, all that stuff. He's looking at other teams. He always calls me and, hey, man, I saw so-and-so do this. I saw so-and-so doing that. I was like, shoot, change your last name to Scout. Maybe you want to be a scout now since you're telling me all these things. But now, once again, just a guy who loves the game, who's been a part of the game for a long time. And I think it's hard for him to step away, but who knows?
What's your read?
He may be back. Not here. I'm just saying maybe back in the NFL. I don't know.
So you said not here.
I don't know. I'm just saying in general he may be back. Of course, I opened the door for him to come back here. I would love for him to come back here, but that's not my decision.
Who would return punts then if he, you know?
Me, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, you can back doing that again? I know that's not necessarily your choice, but you do help out a lot with the coaching of returning.
We don't know. We're working a couple guys there, of course. We'll see how that work out. Towards the end, you know, we all know somebody will step up and take the position, but right now we don't know.
What about Boston Scott, who seems to be, you know, kind of a Sproles type physically? What do you see from him? What do you think his ceiling is in the NFL?
I think it's very high.
Okay.
I'm very high on Boston. I had a chance, of course, to work with him a little bit last year, coming in and being able to see him in OTAs. I'm excited. I'm excited about how quick he is, the way he picks up the offense. He does look like a little Sproles out there at times, but I tell you, he's working hard. He's dedicated. He's in this building early. He's watching film. I'm very pleased with him.
Jordan Howard was saying the types of runs that are available to him here, there's kind of a bigger package or more that he can do than maybe he did in Chicago. Where is he at his best? Like, what types of runs do you think he really excels at?
Well, we'll see. I mean, all that comes when you put the pads on. We can sit here and talk about these guys now in these gym shorts. Of course, it doesn't really matter until we get a little contact going and get the pads on and pretty much talk about that identity as an offense. But I see a guy who can impose his will. I see a guy that can make a guy miss. I see a guy like you guys were talking about earlier that can catch the ball out of the backfield. So he brings a lot of different things to the table.